Hi, welcome to my presentation. I'm going to talk about a new Open Geospatial Consortium standard for methane sensor data exchange. This is a missing component in order for any data-driven or AI-driven approach to manage methane emissions. So a little bit about myself. My name is Steve. I'm the founder and CTO of SensorUp. I'm also a professor in the Rogers Internet of Things Research Chair at the University of Calgary. My expertise is really about sensor, so Internet of Things. So about how to aggregate multiple sensors from different sensor sources into one coherent system of systems. I developed several international standards, and the standard has been adopted around the world to connect different kind of sensors together. And that's my expertise. And methanes are really in need of such standard. So, well, our project is supported by Natural Resources Canada and Alberta Innovates, but what I'm trying to say is this is really a call for collaboration. So if this interests you, and then please contact us and let's work together. This is an open standard and we need everybody to work together and then increase adoption and make something that everybody will use. So one of the most difficult components of any FEMP program, Fugitive Emission Management Program, or any program, a data-driven program, want to manage methane emission data, it's the most difficult part is to manage the collection and flow of data. So as a result, without a standard, how can you manage the data from multiple sources, multiple standards? And then, so that's why actually the work we are doing is very important. And then we also need your help. And let's work together on that. And we're working with the Open Geospatial Consortium. It's an international standard working organization, and then founded in 1994. And members including government, big organizations, small organizations, and academia. So including NRC, NASA, NOAA, I'm pretty sure EPA is a member. And most of the location and geospatial data standards are from OGC. And many standards are also ISO and United Nations ITUT standard. So why it's important for methane emission data? Because location and time are critical. So as a result, OGC is a very natural destination to develop this standard. And also OGC has a long history standardizing sensor data exchange standard. So there are two levels of standards we are developing here. So the first level is the service interface. So how do we exchange the information about methane sensor data from different sources? Number two is how do we define the information model and encoding, the ontology, the semantics, and so on and so forth, and so that we can define the information has been exchanged. So there are two parts in this standard in OGC. So the first part, information model. So semantics ontology, what do we mean by observation? What do we mean by methane emission observation? So including the property, observed property, feature of interest. So what's your feature of interest, right? It's control tank, or is the combustion engine, and what's the procedure to derive that emission data? And then it could be a sensor, but it could be an algorithm as well. And the result, measurement, and when you have different kind of type of observation, the unit measurement changes as well. And the time, they are not only one time, it could be a couple different times in this observation. And the second part is how to exchange that information. So we follow the OGC Sensor Things API as the way to exchange the data you defined or collected by sensor. A different system can interoperate with each other. So AI engine, for example, able to aggregate data together and run some models. And this is one example. Actually, I chose an example which is not very, it's based on a category observation. So as a result, for example, this is a emission rate. In this case, the result actually defined as a category. It's a low, medium, and high. And so if you want to combine the category observation, low, medium, high, into a measurement, which is based on number, how do you do that? As a result, in order to do that, you need the standard and carefully define that. So again, this is very important. So let's work together if you're interested, and then contact us and info@sensorup.com, and let's work together on it. Or you can email me steve.liang@sensorup.com, and then let's chat. Thank you.